Hey, what's going on, guys? Mike from the Retro Lectors, and you're watching Retro Game Lounge.
What is up, everybody? Thanks so much for stopping by, and we have got a very, very special Halloween video just for you, my main man, System Psyko. Back here.
What's up?
Yeah, man. Brought him along. This is one that he and I have been talking about, kind of putting our heads together here on some Halloween videos, some Halloween video games, like, you know, some games that kind of remind you of the Halloween season. I've done 2 of these previously. I will leave links in the list below, or in the description box below. We're not going to repeat ourselves on those, man. We kind of went out of our way to find more of these, because I've already done all the major ones. You know, we've done Splatterhouse, we've done Friday the 13th, we've done Nightmare on Elm Street, Castlevania, and first Castlevania and whatnot. So it's like every year I do this, it actually gets more difficult to come up with horror themed games without going into the modern stuff, you know, where horror games are like the thing. You know, because we're going old school. And in this particular instance, man, we managed to keep it all cart based, which I am amazed at. I figured I'd cover the majority of them, but thinking a little outside the box on a few of these and just kind of ran with it. So I guess we'll get started with the list. Sound good to you?
Let's do it. All right.
Let's go. Okay, so I know this one gets a lot of hate, more or less thanks to Mr. James Rolfe, who kind of like started the hate on this. And we were actually playing this not too long ago, and I guess we can kind of see some of the hate it gets, but I think people get a little bit carried away, and that would be Fester's Quest from Sunsoft, no less. You know, very reliable game publisher. You know, Blaster Master, Spy Hunter. I mean, they definitely, the Batman game, Batman NES game.
Yeah, that's
an
good.
amazing game. They're pretty reliable as far as publishers go. But I'll give my 2 cents. But before I get into that, what do you think? What's your takeaway from it? Be honest, you know.
You really want to be honest?
Yeah. This game sucks, yo. No.
Yeah, like, I mean,
it's frustrating.
I can see where you know, some people might think that it's kind of good because, you know, you're Fester and you're going around with a gun, you're shooting things. But honestly, dude, like, the problem with it is that the enemies respawn
very quickly,
and you gotta shoot them like 1 trillion times for them to die.
Yes.
And then the second thing that just really, like, you know, got my panties in the waist was like, there's like an enemy that makes you go super slow.
And it doesn't wear off.
It doesn't wear off, and on top of that, Fester's already slow, so then you make him even more slow. It's like, you're a slug.
Yeah.
It's like, what the hell are you doing, dude? And so, the game is brutally hard, too, man.
It is.
I literally think we played like, we ran through that game like 50 times or something.
I know.
Man. We were like going over and over about it.
Yes, the unlimited continues option is definitely nice. Like, it doesn't cheapen, you know, the game to the point where it just, like, you know, you go through it like 2 or 3 lives and then you're dead.
Yeah.
So you can continue basically ad nauseum, and it retains all of your item pickups and your gun pickups and stuff like that. But the one thing that infuriated me, honestly, more than anything, is the fact that you can get a gun pickup and it can downgrade your gun.
Terrible.
Why would you do that? Like, that is so stupid. Like, and it, I mean, unless I'm missing something, I didn't see any difference between the positive gun upgrade and the gun downgrade. Like, if there was a difference to it, maybe the lettering was different. Maybe I just didn't catch it. But when we got it, and I'm like, what the? Why did my gun just get downgraded? Like, how does that make sense?
Dude, I was telling you, man, this game is a troll game.
It does.
I literally think it's programmed all messed up. Like, it really doesn't know what it's doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the enemies are in different places and downgrades your guns and it upgrades your guns.
Yeah. The gun moves in like a wave pattern, so you got to be in like the exact right spot just to hit something when it's right in front of you.
You get the whip item and then you really don't get the whip item.
Yeah.
It's like, dog, I don't know. It is Halloween themed. I mean, it does have Fester's ugly face.
So yeah, why are we talking about it? Why is it on the list? It is definitely Halloween themed. Like, it's got monsters and stuff that you fight. I mean, dude, it is the Addams Family. You know, that's you know, the creepy, the kooky, you know, a little spooky. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely in the realm of Halloween theme. It's not a great game by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't think it's a terrible game. I think it's very difficult because you only get 2 hits.
I played worse.
Yes.
But, I mean, one good thing about this game is the soundtrack. I thought the music was pretty
great.
decent. I think the title screen song is pretty good. And then, I mean, since we were replaying this game 50 times, like, we had to listen to the same song over and over.
Yes.
So it gets in your head after a while.
It does. I mean, Sunsoft traditionally has really good soundtracks. They're kind of known for their music, and this, you know, the 8-bit version of the Addams Family theme does it justice, I thought. And every time you die, it actually plays that.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, oh.
I'll be honest with you, I don't even know why they even put Fester in this game. Like,
I don't know.
Like, it's such a random.
Because he's
character to base
weird
the game
looking.
on.
I mean, it's, he's got a spider on his head and shit. I mean, look at him.
Yeah.
But it is. I will say, like the utilization of items, like the light bulb is basically your flashlight.
Yeah.
You get on the sewer and you have so many light bulbs, you can use a light bulb basically to see because it's like pitch black. That is actually rather brilliant use of the Addams Family lore. That was always Uncle Fester's thing. But it's again not the best game on this list by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time not a terrible game.
We had to dig to the bottom of the barrel for that one, man.
Yes.
Like, we were like, what can we pick? We're like, I don't know, man, Fester's Quest?
Yeah, because like you're naming like what about Monster Party? What about Ghoul School? I'm like, I did those already, bro. Like it's like we're way past Ghoul School and Monster Party. Sorry, like we covered those, but
Fester's Quest.
What's left is Fester's Quest.
What's left is Fester's Quest. All right.
So what's next, mi amigo?
Castlevania Bloodlines for the Sega Genesis.
Which I just played for the first time since Miguel was nice enough to bring a copy of the game over. I'd never actually played it. Can I give you my quick takeaway and then we'll do yours?
Yeah, man, go ahead.
Okay, so my first impression, the sprites are a lot smaller than I thought they would be.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, because it's a 16-bit game, I was expecting, like, Super Castlevania. Like, but that being said, okay. So the art palette is a little bit different, I think, from the other Castlevania games. Like, this is definitely kind of like the Redheaded Stepchild, where it's definitely a Castlevania game, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of like its little art style is definitely in the Castlevania universe, but it's kind of doing its own thing. Whether that's good or bad, I think is up to the individual. I didn't think it was a bad thing. I thought it was kind of unique. It is kind of cool that you can pick who you want to play as. You can pick, the whip dude or the freaking spear dude. That is kind of neat. The boss battles are good. They're definitely Castlevania-esque. You're whipping the candles and all this other stuff, and it's definitely a Castlevania game at the core. We didn't get all the way through it, but we did make it a considerable way through. It's not unforgivingly hard. It's not unfair.
Yeah.
You can continue basically, I don't think it's unlimited.
Oh.
I don't think it is.
No.
I mean, it does have passwords, though.
Yeah.
So, when you think about it that way, you can basically play as much as you want. So, it's not ridiculously hard, given the confines of Castlevania difficulty, which is a traditionally difficult franchise. But that was my 2 cents. What was your takeaway?
Yeah, I mean, I've played this game. I mean, I didn't really play too much in depth into it, but today was probably the most I've ever played it, to be honest with you.
Really?
I like this game. I kind of feel like so Genesis had kind of like more. So they had Contra Hard Corps, right? Whereas Super Nintendo had the Alien Wars. And then this one, Genesis has Bloodlines, where Super Nintendo had Castlevania 4. And I just feel like the Genesis ones are good. Like, they're really good, but they're different. Like, they put a different twist in it. Like, in this one, you can pick two different characters. Contra Hard Corps, you could pick 4 characters. And then, so I kind of feel like they're like, they are in the realm of the same series and franchise, but they just do a little thing different. Now with this game, one thing I really liked was with the whip guy, you could actually like, if you're like on the bottom platform, you can like grapple onto like the bottom of a platform and just like swing.
That was impressive. I didn't see that coming.
And then another thing that you mentioned was the graphics. So there's a level where there's like water like right below you, and it keeps going up, and then like you see the reflection of like the whole top, and that looked really gorgeous.
That was really
pretty good.
That was.
And the 2 characters are pretty cool because the whip guy is a little harder to play, but with the guy with the long like lance or the staff,
spear, whatever you want to call it,
yeah, it was so much easier and it's a lot.
Yeah, a lot more reach.
So you have more options. It's a little bit more diverse if you whatever type of character you want to play as. If you want to try with the whip guy, like kind of keep it like normal old school, or try with the spear guy. But this game is dope, and it is definitely Halloween-esque.
Oh, absolutely. Anything Castlevania.
Anything blood.
Bloodlines.
Bloodlines.
I mean, you're fighting Dracula.
Yeah.
You're
gargoyles,
fighting,
fishmen.
I know. This is
skeletons.
The nuts and bolts of a Halloween game. Like Castlevania, as far as I'm concerned, is the bar for a Halloween game.
Bats. So, yeah. Man.
Very spooky, but good game though.
Definitely good game.
Okay, so next up, you're getting 2 for the price of 1. 2 separate entries on the list, but we're going to go ahead and kind of tag team talk about these 2. That would be Splatterhouse 2 and Splatterhouse 3, which I have played previously, albeit briefly. My first experience with them was when I was playing the most recent Splatterhouse game on the Xbox 360. If you achieve a certain level of progress on that, it actually unlocks the previous games. So you can play like the old school arcade game. You can play Spyro's 2 and Spyro's 3. That was the first time I ever touched those. But just as a refresher, Miguel and I went in the back of the lounge here, fired up the old Genesis, and checked out Spyro's 2 and Spyro's 3.
Yeah.
My first takeaway from it is that they are very different games. Like, they're definitely both Splatterhouse games, don't get me wrong, but Splatterhouse 2 is a lot closer to the first game, meaning like you hit stuff and it dies, and Splatterhouse 3 is more of a traditional beat 'em up.
Yeah.
You know, so as I was telling Miguel earlier, like the way I would quantify these really is like this is a horror game with beat 'em up elements, and this is a beat 'em up game with horror elements. So it's almost like two sides of the same coin. Yeah. You know, like this is like, you know, like kind of Double Dragon type combos, and this is like boom, I hit you, your head explodes. You know, much akin to the first game. But the difficulty level on these is definitely it's on par with the first game. These are not easy games at all.
Yeah.
You know, like Splatterhouse 2, I think is a little bit harder.
Yeah, than that one.
Yeah, because like you have a little bit more life in this. Like you actually have a life meter. Like this, you can hit like 4 times and you're dead. You know, like one hit takes off 1 life, so you basically have like 4 chances and then you die. So you do have unlimited continues in Splatterhouse 2, which is good, so that's a plus. Splatterhouse 3, you're running against the clock, which is like unforgiving, and there's like different paths you can take and shit, and you're just like, God, like it's almost like overwhelming.
It is.
So, but what was your take on that?
So, I mean, like you said, this one is more like the first one.
Yes.
But you know, this game is more of like patterns. That's one thing we had to, you know.
Yes.
Because with the first and the second one, you're only on a straight line, so it's very linear. You can't move up, you can't move down.
Nope.
So all the enemies are either going to hit you or not. So you had to find a way to like, you know, memorize their patterns, the moves, and we had to repeat a lot of levels. Like many times until we got the patterns down, and we found like, you know, we were cheaping sometimes. We kept ducking and kicking. But I mean, this game, I liked it. I mean,
I thought it was great.
I like one thing, definitely horror theme, presentation. You know, there's a level where we fight a baby, like a monster baby getting hung with a rope, and then
like a bunch of monster babies.
and then you can pick up a chainsaw and chainsaw the baby.
Fuck it up.
And, dude, this game is crazy.
Wow, it sounds darker when you say it though.
And then you can get like a big ass bone or was it a pipe or a bat, and like you just smash the crap out of these monsters, and all this blood comes out everywhere. This game is pretty cool. It's hard as shit though.
Yes, it really is.
And then the third one, like Jimbo was saying, it's more like a beat 'em up. It wasn't too much of a pattern game like this one, but I do like the fact that it's not just straight linear. This time you can move up and down, like you said, like a beat 'em up.
Yeah.
It is cool that you can pick which way you need to go. You know, you can go with multiple doors and figure out the direction you gotta go. But the cold clock thing, man, like, that was...
The whole time running against the clock.
It's like, you know, I'm not really into games that, you know, it's kind of rushing you and stuff. One thing I will say about the third one that I thought was actually pretty cool, I didn't mention to you earlier, but...
What's that?
They have, what do you call it, like, cutscenes.
They do?
And these cutscenes, they're kind of, I don't know, man, they're kind of creepy because the cutscenes are actually still shots of real people. So, for instance, they had a still shot of Jennifer, so it shows her, and it's like black and white, so... It's even more creepy, and like the still shots of these people, they're like in some, they just look sad all the time. So for instance, we didn't make it on time to save Jennifer, and all you do is just see her eyes, and it says that, you know, the monster ate her.
Yeah, basically.
You know? And then you'll see Rick, or what's his name? Is that his name?
Yeah, Rick.
Yeah, Rick. And then you'll see him, and he's like having voices in his head, and you see the like the still shots of him, like a guy in a mask, like this is a real person in a mask, like holding on to his head, and you see like ghosts above him.
Let the rage go.
Yeah, it's like, dude, it's so weird. Like, it is kind of creepy. Like, I actually kind of like that, like, where it has kind of like live actors in it. So, that's one thing I really like about it.
That's why it's MA13, bro.
Yeah. So, I don't know. That game's pretty dope. And on top of that, he has the Hogan haircut going on.
He does.
He has, like, the
He's got the skullet.
Oh, that's another thing. You could actually power up and become like...
you can go rage mode.
You can be like Jason X and like turn all crazy and shit.
And just start punching the shit out of stuff.
Yeah, you look like the Predator with like your dreadlocks. And
his mullet gets more intense. Like when he powers up and gets all roid monster big.
Yeah, his jeans get all ripped up.
Yeah. So it's like they're both definitely worthy Splatterhouse games, but very different games as far as like the core mechanics. Like it's almost like it's almost like two different game companies did like a different take on the same game.
Yeah.
You know, like one's like a beat 'em up company and one's like a little bit more of a linear type thing. But they're both very, you know, worthy entries in the franchise. They're both very, very good games.
Yeah.
I like them.
If you like the first one,
you like the first one, you like the second
one.
If you like more like a Streets of Rage kind of thing,
yeah,
this is like Streets of Rage, but you're like punching like giant fucking bladder monsters, you know, that like explode into guts. Yeah. You know, other than that, yeah,
you're good to go.
Win. Okay, so lastly, we definitely have a very questionably good game on the list.
Questionably good game.
I think it depends on who you ask. Like, it's not gonna go down in any realm like a classic like Castlevania Bloodlines or Splatterhouse games. And in my opinion, this is basically like a clone of another game. And some people wouldn't even call it a Halloween game, but just for argument's sake, guys, we're gonna throw in a little wild card here, and that's gonna be 8 Eyes from Taxan. So, if somebody asked me for like the elevator pitch, like on what 8 Eyes actually is, it's kind of like budget Castlevania.
It's like the poor man's version.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
the bootleg.
Yes. Like like everything that makes like Castlevania awesome. Yeah. This has like just little tiny crumbs of that. Like if Castlevania is like the pizza, this is the leftover crust. That's. I mean, it literally is. Like, I mean, think about it. Like, all right. So before we get into the like the funny angle of this, let's explain why we think this is a Halloween themed game. Okay. So you're kind of like in kind of mysterious, spooky-ish places, like fighting like skeletons and like killer Jawa things from fucking Star Wars. You know, bats and stuff flying around, you know, trying to kill you. It definitely has those layers of Castlevania in it. Okay. The execution of them just isn't nearly as good as the way Konami does them. Plus, on top of that, it's 2-player co-op. But this has to be the worst co-op experience I think I've ever had. Because one dude is the guy, and the other person is that stupid bird. So literally all you can do is like fly and you can attack stuff. You can do a couple of utilitarian things, like you can hit switches and shit. Yeah. So I think if we had played it more, it probably would have gotten more into that, where, you know, one guy's got to hit the switch, then you go through it and whatever. But what was your takeaway from this? Was your first time playing it, right?
Oh yeah, this is my first time.
So we were just playing this earlier for this video, but what was your sense?
This is like you said, this is the definition of bootleg, dude. So, like,
why?
It really looks like Castlevania.
It does.
They really tried for the castle theme. When you go inside the castle, the stairs look the same. The way you have to walk up the stairs. Even the song kind of sounds kind of like Castlevania, but they kind of changed it up a little bit. So I compared this to basically like, you know, when you're a kid and you go to like the grocery store and like, you know, I mean, I love cereal. So, you know, I like Fruity Pebbles, Fruit Loops, and all that. And instead of getting the actual cardboard cereal, your mom buys you the bottom shelf bootleg cereal, like fucking. So instead of Fruit Loops, you get Fruitos. So instead of Toucan Sam, it's like a crow.
It's like Toucan Bob or something.
Toucan Bob.
Bob the bird.
The bird is red. The beak is blue.
Yeah.
That's exactly what this is, dude. It's like
and your mom totally tries to fool you because she like gets the bag and she like fills up your bag of Lucky Charms or whatever, and you're like, hey, it's Lucky Charms.
It's like
it tastes funny.
It's like the thing is like it's doable. Like it tastes okay, but
it just doesn't taste as good.
It's just not as good.
It's not quite the same.
So it's like you can play it and it looks funny and it smells funny, but like it's just not as good as like the authentic Castlevania. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like everything that made Castlevania special. Take all that out, and then you have this game.
Yeah, so it's like your mom buying you a present, and instead of Castlevania, she buys you this, and you're like, oh great, Castlevania.
Imagine the conversation that mom had with the game store clerk when you're like begging her, like, I really want Castlevania, and she goes like, hey, do you have Castlevania? And they're like, no. Okay, do you have a game that's like Castlevania? Yeah, I got this game called 8 Eyes. It's like basically like Castlevania. And she brings it home. It's like, I got you something that's better than Castlevania. And you're like, what's 8 Eyes? And you like don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And you look at it, then you start playing. You know, like every time we all did this as kids. When like you're playing a game, like even though you didn't pay for it, it's like you have built-in buyer's remorse. Like you have to defend that game as a good game, even if it sucks.
You try to like force yourself to like it. You're like, it's good.
Yeah, like no, it's kind of like a sequel to Castlevania, man. You have to, when your friends come over, like you gotta sell them on that. You gotta be like, oh guys, I have 8 Eyes, man. It's like the totally unlicensed sequel to Castlevania. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's like this guy Orin. He's like Simon Belmont's cousin or something from Russia.
It's like from Russia, dude. You like go inside a Russian castle. Yeah. You fucking see Tetris up in that motherfucker.
That's really what it's like.
Dog, it's bad, dude. What's even worse is if you did go to a store and they did have Castlevania, but it was too much money. And then 8 Eyes was like the budget version. So you have to buy the
you're like,
budget version. You're
I'm
just
just like, I'm sorry, kid, your mom doesn't love you that much.
It's like,
Because she didn't love you.
there you go, dude. You're just like, fuck, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, even though this is licensed by Nintendo, it does have the gold seal. It almost plays like a game that isn't.
I know.
Like, it's like this
It's
far
pretty
above,
bad.
like, kind of unauthorized game, like bootleggy kind of shit. It's that close. Like, it's kind of approved, but kind of not.
It's like one of those games where like your group of friends are talking about Castlevania and you're like, dude, you guys remember Eight Eyes?
They're like, fuck you.
Like, what the fuck are you? What is that, dude?
Eight Eyes?
And then there's like some bum in the back like, I remember that game. It's like some random dude. I remember that.
And then you're like, just, no.
Yeah, so like one thing about this game was the color palette and how it was either just brown, purple. I don't even know if it was purple or it was like baby blue.
And taupe.
Taupe. I don't even. It was bad, dude. It looked like shit on the fucking screen. It really did. It looked like doo doo. Like I couldn't even tell. I couldn't tell what the stairs were or what the enemy was. The enemy was like white. It was just
all the bright colorfulness of Castlevania. Forget about all that.
Yeah.
Like, you take all that out and you basically got Eight Eyes.
yeah.
I mean, it is.
It was fun. It was fun playing, but playing as the bird though was just
infuriating, I would imagine.
you can't. There's no way to play it. You just hit buttons, dude. It'll do what it does. So.
I know. And what's messed up is if I die, the bird can actually keep going.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's stupid.
But I think if I die, you keep going too, right?
Yeah, because it's like, we were talking about, it's like, okay, my bird's dead, so what?
They don't give a shit about
Like,
the bird.
it's a fucking bird. I'll get another one.
The bird has like a lot of life. He even has a name too.
Yes.
What's his name? Orin?
Orin is the dude.
Oh, okay.
Cirrus, I think, is the bird.
Serious.
Cirrus, something like that.
Falcor.
Yo, Cutris.
Atreyu?
Cutris. What, Atreyu?
Falcor?
Cutris. C-U-T-R-U-S. Or
Cutris?
Cutris. Cutris. That's a stupid name.
What's Birdman's bird's name? That's funny.
I don't know. Not Cutris. I can tell you that. So,
ridiculous, dude.
That's Eight Eyes.
Yeah. So I think that's a pretty good pick. I mean, it has some skeletons there.
It is. I mean,
It
yeah,
has the
like
Cyclops.
yeah, like when you look at the cover, I mean, yeah, it's kind of Halloween themed.
Yeah,
you know, I
Halloween
mean,
themed.
that's a decent cover of art.
It's like a budget
castle in the background.
It's a budget version of Halloween, dude.
Like this isn't. This is like that crappy mix bag that your mom would get at the dollar store of candy, like because she didn't want to get the Reese's bag, which was like $10. So she'd get like the dollar bag, which was like all this off-brand candy, where you're
Tastes like shit.
yeah, where you're just like
pure shit.
what's a mystery brittle or whatever, you know, like what's Choco Fizz, and you're like, what the hell is this shit? You know, like the kind of candy your grandma would buy, where she'd be like, "Oh, I got you some candy," and you're thinking like Milky Way, Reese's Pieces. She brings out like this garbage you've never heard of.
It doesn't even have a name brand on it. It just has a wrapper. You just gotta like unwrap it. There's like no name to it.
Yeah, see, if you got that when you're out trick or treating, like your parents would be freaking out. They think it's like, no, don't take that. It's like fucking, it's like poison candy or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's Eight Eyes.
Castlevania is like Snickers, Gobstoppers, whatchamacallit,
Reese's Pieces,
Reese's.
Yeah.
This is more like, I don't know.
This is generic dollar store candy.
like, just.
I need to have a counter going in this video for the amount of terrible analogies that we've come up with for this game.
Bad. It's ridiculous.
Eight Eyes, the Fruitios of video games.
It's the Fruitios, dude. Terrible.
Hey, your mileage may vary. Check it out.
Yeah,
it's not an expensive game. Give it a whirl.
I mean, I've owned it for years, and this is the first time playing it.
You're welcome.
That's how great it is.
My pleasure, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So, that about wraps up this year's edition of 5 Halloween games for your trick-or-treating pleasure. Special thanks to my excellent amigo, System Psyko, for joining me on this one.
Anytime.
Thank you for the great analogies on Eight Eyes.
Oh man, Eight Eyes was more like 4 eyes.
More like no eyes.
No eyes, dude.
So, yeah, I think everyone should play that game. I really do.
Yeah.
And if you haven't played, if you like Castlevania, play this just so you'll appreciate Castlevania more.
And when you're done, just jump out of a window.
Yeah, just be like, I'm never playing this again. Just throw it away. But thank you everyone so much for stopping by, and I guess happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween, guys.